Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Mirav Temi. Getting into our next segment here, we're switching gears over to the WNBA, a part of this basketball world that we don't touch on nearly enough as we should. But when big news comes out, we have to talk about it when we can. Um, Caitlin Clark sustaining a big injury last week against I believe it was the Mystics. Um, a big loss for Caitlin Clark suffering a quad strain. Um, looks like she's just going to be it's just a week to week injury at the moment. And it's just a strain, so it's not the biggest deal in the world. But the reason why it is a little bit of a headline right now is because they have a big matchup right coming up late this weekend, tomorrow actually, against the Chicago Sky. And if you guys don't know anything about the WNBA, there's a player by the name of Angel Reese on the Chicago Sky that, let's just say, those two ladies don't like each other very much. If you guys can remember, about 2 weeks, was it two? Wow, it's been about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago now. Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese got into a little bit of a fight, not a fight, but a scuffle on the court. Um, Long story short, one of the Fever players, what was it? No, it was Angel Reese was in the low post, drops her shoulder into one of the Fever players. Fever player goes down onto the court. Um, Clark looking for an offensive foul and then just tries to rip the ball away from Angel Reese. Some people will say it was a little extracurricular than what was supposed to be, but honestly, at the end of the day, if you watch the replay, it was just Caitlin Clark looking like she was just going for a jump ball situation, or just trying to strip the ball in general. She's got both hands on the ball and tried to strip it. The problem was she tried to strip it. Angel Reese held onto the ball and was thrown to the floor with it. Reese taking high exceptions to it, bouncing right up and getting right into Caitlin Clark's face. Caitlin Clark turning right away to face the bench, turning away from Angel Reese, but Reese was having none of it. If Caitlin Clark had not turned around, I would not be shocked if we saw more than just a little bit of jawing of Angel Reese just jawing at her. We probably would have seen a couple punches thrown, but that's neither here nor there. When we look at this game on Saturday night, we see two teams that obviously don't like each other, but without Caitlin Clark on the floor, the Indiana Fever are nowhere near as good as they normally are. That's the biggest question. That's the biggest problem. To put it into perspective, without Caitlin Clark, before Caitlin Clark was a member of the Indiana Fever, has it really been 2 years? I was gonna say last year, but I guess it's been 2 years now. Before she was on the team, the Fever were nowhere. And when I say nowhere, they were the number one overall pick. They were the worst team in the WNBA. They had achieved the worst record in the WNBA. And since she has found her way onto the team, they've not only picked up bigger prospects like Aaliyah Boston, like DeWanna Bonner. They've picked up a bunch of players that have uplifted this team. But Caitlin Clark is the player that makes everyone glue. She's the player that she runs the offense. To put it into NBA perspective, think about it like the way SGA makes the Thunder play. The Thunder are still a great team, and they have a bunch of great pieces around them. But SGA is the player that makes everyone glue to one another. He's the playmaker. He's the guy that makes everyone better. Same way Halliburton does with the Pacers. So that's the type of impact that Caitlin Clark has on her team. And without her on the floor, I don't think that the Fever will have enough firepower to take down the Chicago Sky. But that's neither here nor there when we're looking at these two teams. Also, I don't know why I said it was tomorrow. I meant it was next Saturday, but that's neither here nor there. In that case, we'll probably be right back here to preview that matchup. Honestly, let's just fix this right now. If we're going to do this, we're probably going to have to do this once again next week. But that's neither here nor I had no idea it was next week. Sorry about that, guys. For this segment, we'll just keep it with Caitlin Clark and her injury and how much it impacts the Indiana Fever. But yeah, since we're on the topic, we'll just keep rolling with it. the Chicago Sky, led by Angel Reese. Angel Reese also has a big impact on that team. If we're going to compare it to somebody in the NBA world, think of her like an Anthony Davis of the WNBA. The way she's able to rebound the ball, the way she's very unique in the ways that she's able to rebound. She's more of a power forward, but she can play both positions, both power forward and center. Being able to shoot the ball at times, being a big presence on the interior as a defensive threat, anchoring that defense. Angel Reese plays a big role on the Chicago Sky. But at the same time, I think the Sky are much better built around Angel Reese than they are around Caitlin Clark in Indiana. That's the biggest thing that we got to point out with this. And that's why I'm saying Caitlin Clark's injury is so vital to this Fever squad. Overall, when we're looking at these two teams, obviously the Fever have the edge just because of their ability to shoot the ball. Aaliyah Boston obviously is a dynamic duo with Caitlin Clark. It's gonna be interesting to see if Caitlin Clark can get on the floor come next week. I still can't believe. I thought it was tomorrow, but come next week. But for now, all we can say is the Fever still have a bunch of games to play. They just recently lost to the Washington Mystics last night. And they also lost to New York Liberty, who are obviously one of the best teams in the WNBA in the New York Liberty. But for now, it's still very early on into the season, and there's still a lot of games to be played. But the Fever in Chicago Sky could be on a collision course come playoff time. They really could. And that would be an unbelievable series if we did end up seeing that. Obviously, both teams are not in the highest caliber of place. The Fever are 2-3. Chicago Sky are 1-4. And it's very early on into the season. But if we're going to continue to project what to expect with these two teams moving forward, we can't have the conversation without both Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. It just won't happen. It just doesn't feel right to talk about both of them in that standpoint because of the impacts that they have on their teams. Caitlin Clark will be back. This is not an injury that will put her away for a while. Probably should be back by mid-June, I'd say. But for now, the Fever have to figure out a way to stay afloat. In a similar way to any team that loses their star player, their best player. The same way the Celtics have to figure it out without Jason Tatum on the floor. Same way that I'm trying to think of any other team. I can't think of any other team that had injury this offseason or during the playoffs. Regardless, that's just the state of the WNBA right now. But I'm gonna leave it on that note just because I wish there was a little bit more to talk about, but that's all we got for that topic right now. It looks like both players are playing at a great clip, and since it's early on in the season, there's just not a whole lot to talk about. I'm gonna leave it on that note. Coming up next, we're gonna switch gears back over to the Eastern Conference Finals. Like I said, there's 3 segments that we're going to talk about this series with. I promise this is the last one, but we have to talk about this one as well. With the Eastern Conference Finals taking longer than expected, does it play in favor of the Oklahoma City Thunder that are taking some well-needed rest before these NBA Finals kick off next Thursday? That is the question that we're going to be tackling in this next segment. And just how long is this series going to drag on for? I know we've talked about it a little bit in these last 2 segments, but we'll revisit that topic in the next segment coming right up. You're watching the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Don't go anywhere.